We are Blackmore. We are Florida.
Beautiful scene high above Miami. And Marlins Park, the bobbleheads are bobbling. The Marlins and the Mets are playing, and the Mets have taken the first two of what is a whopping 4-game series that spans almost an entire week. Henderson Alvarez will try to stop the skid. Henry Mejia was dominant in his first start with the Mets this year. He's at it again. Marlon Byrd, Placido Polanco, everybody getting ready as the Marlins and the Mets meet. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. The Marlins had dominated the Mets coming into this series. Not so the first two nights.
No, not so the first two nights, Rich. And I'll tell you what, this is a big game tonight if you want to kind of put this 4-game series all into one, because tomorrow the Marlins face Matt Harvey. I know he's had some up and down games against the Marlins, but he's tough. This is a big game tonight to try to win.
Last night the Marlins saw Zach Wheeler. He was outstanding. He had a no-hitter rolling until late. Marlins tied it on to extra innings, and that's when the Mets got to the Marlins bullpen, which had a nice run in July.
You know, it was a tough decision for Mike Redmond to keep Steve Cishek out there for the second inning, and it started with a base hit by David Wright. A guy who's been really hot followed him, Marlon Byrd. He drops one just out of the reach of Giancarlo. Wright had to hold a little bit to make sure that ball wasn't caught. And then the big base hit on the first pitch after the walk. It was John Buck came up, certainly familiar with Steve Cishek. You know what? He figured, okay, bases loaded. I'm going to get a fastball. He did. He didn't waste any time and took it right back up the middle. John Buck has 10 RBIs in 10 games against the Marlins this year. So the former Marlin creeping onto that Marlins killer list.
That's right. Buck said he knew that Cishek had funk on it because he's caught it before. Figured he'd just stay short, stay middle, and he got a big base hit. So the pitching matchup coming into this one is a little bit intriguing because you're not quite sure what the Mets have. Henry Mejia, dominant in his first start, and Henderson Alvarez in his starts has been very good. Let's talk Mejia because Terry Collins said that's the best he's ever thrown his last time out.
Well, he actually, out of the bullpen, made his major league debut against the Marlins a couple of years ago, so they've seen him a little bit. But in that starting rotation, and I should say the 6-man starting rotation that the Mets have put together.
Yeah, they want to stretch it out so that the young kids don't get overworked. Now, Henderson Alvarez didn't get off to a great start with the Marlins, but lately he has been dominant.
Well, he had 7 shutout innings in Milwaukee, 6 shutout innings his last time out against Pittsburgh. Could have gone further, but you remember that was a key situation in the game that Mike Redmond had to send up a pinch hitter.
All right, ready to go. Guess whose birthday it is today? A certain right-hander, an excitable young lad. Back after this. Out to center field, Craig and Niner.
Well, July 31st, 1992, Jose Fernandez was born on that day, and today he turns 21. And he's excited about it, and it's great to see him with that big smile in the clubhouse, as always.
Indeed. Shares a birthday with my youngest, Tucker. So happy birthday to both of them.
All right, happy birthday, Tucker, as well. Well, Jose Fernandez can no longer say he's 20 because those numbers now are in the past, but look where he got to at the age of 20. 124 Ks. Rick Ankiel, 194 since 1987, the most. We talked with Jose about his birthday today.
I spent it with my mom yesterday, and today I'm going to go there with her. And talked to my grandma yesterday. She called me 4 seconds before 12 o'clock, so she was the first one to tell me happy birthday, and that was pretty amazing.
You got it last night?
Yeah, last night at 12. Normally she's sleeping at 8, but
she stayed up for you. What did she say?
She said happy birthday, and hopefully one of this year we're going to spend it together. So it's been 5, 6 that we haven't been together, but it's fine. It's all good.
And Jose told us that the team's going to get together probably over the weekend. He's got a pitch on Friday night, and good for him. It's a big day, 21.
That's a big day. You know, I was talking to him in the clubhouse yesterday, and he says, and I said, oh, here's a young guy talking about another young pitcher. I think he was talking about the other night's pitcher, and he's like, I don't pitch like a young guy, though. I'm like, I have to agree with that. His mound demeanor is not like a 20-year-old or 21-year-old now.
All right, but everything's legal now for Jose Fernandez, so good for him. Turning 21, he'll get the pitch on the old 21-year-old on Friday night for the first time. He takes on the Cleveland Indians. But our business is the Mets and the Marlins. We've got 2 more games in the series. It's all at stake, and it's next on Fox Sports Florida.
Is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. By AT&T Uverse TV. Check availability. 1-800-PICK-AT&T. Rethink possible. By Just for Men Mustache and Beard. And by Checkers. Feast on. Doesn't get a whole lot nicer than that. Marlins Park. Marlins and Mets. The Fish taking the field right now. Henderson Alvarez, the last to trot out. Got to make sure the shoes are tied. Don't want to pull a Chad Qualls on your way out. He's ready to go. Here come the Mets, 48-56. Jane Lexus brings you Their starting lineup: Eric Young in left field, Daniel Murphy's at second, David Wright, big hit last night, same with Marlon Byrd, Ike Davis at first, John Buck had the deciding blow in the 10th, Juan Ligares 3 hits last night, Omar Quintanilla at short, and Henry Mejia will hit ninth. And Henderson Alvarez, the 23-year-old out of Venezuela, gets ready to go.
You know, the thing that he's been so consistent in the last couple of starts, 13 innings, just 7 hits, no runs, a couple of walks. He's been in the strike zone. He's worked quickly, and he works fast, and he gets that good sinker going, a good power sinker, and the defense comes into play behind him. So right now, he just wants to continue that trend that he's been on the last 2 starts.
Defense is brought to you by the Cleveland Clinic, Florida.
And we'll take a look at that defense with Yelich, Marisnik, and Stanton in the outfield. A couple of changes in the infield. Polanco starts tonight at third base. Ed Lucas gives Adeiny Echeverria a well-needed day off, I think. In talking to Mike Redmond, he wanted to just get him one night off. Solano and Lomo on the right side of the infield, and Rob Brantley behind the plate tonight.
There's a gentleman that is leaving the Marlins organization, has been a big part of it, Alex Marin, who works in player relations, and he's sitting with Jose Fernandez's mom. Alex has taken a job with Scott Boras, and he will be representing Boras' company here in Miami. He was a big help not only for the fantasy auction this year, but in years past.
Guys were kidding Alex the other day because once he takes that official job with Scott Boras, he will not be able to hang out in clubhouses. And people who are with agents and work for agents cannot be involved in the clubhouse. But best of luck to Alex. He's been a great attribute to the organization for quite a while.
Without a doubt. All right, let's do some baseball here. Eric Young, Daniel Murphy, David Wright against Henderson Alvarez. Pinch Penny brings you the first pitch. Alvarez delivers a strike on the inside corner. Young, active in the leadoff spot, acquired from the Rockies. Walked a couple times last night, had a couple hits, including a double on Monday night. E.Y. Jr. shortens the bunt, brings it with him. First base side, Alvarez scoop it. Got it.
Boy, that's a thing of beauty, and he is the only one who can make that play. If the ball gets by Henderson, there's no chance for Solano. There's no chance for Lomo. Good job, too, by Lomo to not get off the bag and veer from the bag. He stayed on the bag. Good communication and a nice play.
Alvarez trying to follow up on that last start. The 6 scoreless innings in the win over Pittsburgh. His previous start, 7 scoreless innings in Milwaukee. And here is Daniel Murphy. Murphy a hit last night. 26 doubles on the season to go with the 8 home runs. Murphy has been slotted in the 2 spot for some time for the Mets. Having a very good July. And on the last day, he's got 20 RBIs in the month.
Daniel Murphy and David Wright tied for 5th in the National League in base hits, each with 122 hits.
Two-one. Ground ball, Morrison over, has it, flips, and there's Alvarez again around the bag.
I think we saw Alvarez with some of the athletic plays he made in Milwaukee, and shows how quickly he can get over and cover the bag. A nice play there as well.
So a 1-3 and a 3-1 for the first 2 outs. And here's David Wright. Wright, 2 hits in each game, a double and a single last night. As you saw in the outset, that single started things in the 10th when the Mets got a pair of runs on the John Buck 2-run hit. Wright and Marlon Byrd both drove hits into right field to open that inning against Steve Cishek, who is off limits tonight. Steve Cishek, who worked a couple innings last night, Mike Redmond, if he's in a position to close, will use maybe a Chad Qualls, maybe a Mike Dunn.
Well, 39 pitches for Steve last night, and that's exactly what Red said. He certainly wants to stay away from him tonight.
Breaking ball, right, chops it down the third baseline. It's a fair ball. Polanco across the diamond, and Morrison scoops it. Henderson Alvarez, a very quick first inning. Everybody getting settled here at Marlins Park, ready for the bottom of the first. Henry Mejia of the Mets will be facing this Marlins lineup, which is brought to you by J.M. Alexis. Christian Yelich trying to break out of a skid right now. Has Placido Polanco behind him. Giancarlo Stanton, Logan Morrison, Ed Lucas at short. Donovan Solano at second. Jake Marisnick is in center. Rod Brantley hits eighth. You'll notice Adeiny Echeverria is getting the night off, and Henderson Alvarez hits ninth.
Well, I've talked a little bit about Henry Mejia, just the 23-year-old getting a chance to settle into a six-man rotation, making his second start this year. Mejia has one of those deliveries, gives him a little bit of a natural cutter. He actually started the year in A ball, went to Double A, and here he is now pitching in that rotation for Terry Collins out of the Dominican, signed when he was 17 years old back in 2007.
And as late as 2010, he was listed as the Mets' top prospect in their minor leagues. Of course, guys like Harvey and Wheeler bypassed him, and some of that had to do with Tommy John surgery in March of 2011. But he certainly was electric his last time out. What did he feature, Mr. Hutton?
Well, we talked about that natural cutter, but then he also gives you some good sink with his fastball. His changeup has a split-like action to it. There was that sink.
Ball and a strike. We talked about the ebb and flow of a rookie in the major leagues, and for Christian Yelich, the hits came quickly. 3 hits his first 3 at-bats. But all of a sudden, he can't buy a hit. 0 for his last 16 right now. For Jake Marisnick, he couldn't get a hit his first week in the big leagues, and Marisnick has 3 hits in this series. Yelich fouls it at the plate.
Well, the ebbs and flows of a major leaguer.
We saw that with Marcell Ozuna, although there was a lot more flowing for the first month and a half before he ebbed. And Derek Dietrich as well. Off speed, Yelich yanks it foul.
Yeah, we saw a couple of different times that Ozuna was up and then riding nice and high and then went down. That was that changeup with the splitter action to it, that last pitch.
Two balls, two strikes. And Yelich breaks the skid, rolls it into center, has himself a leadoff base hit.
Yeah, it's a way to come out of it. It's a good feeling, and you know he's just going to deal with that. And what happens at this level, young hitters, young pitchers end up dealing with the highs and lows a little bit more until they settle in. The minor leagues, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's easier. You get challenges every night at the major league level.
There's Placido Polanco. Polanco up in the 2 spot. Adeiny Echeverria, Mike Redmond felt, needed a night off. Gets a night off. And so Polanco plays third, and Ed Lucas moves over to play short. Echeverria had been in the leadoff spot until Yelich got there last night. He hit second. Etch. For him, physical and mental night off.
Think of the demands of a shortstop. Every pitch.
Polanco takes a strike. Trading deadline tonight, and some deals made today. Nothing earth-shaking in baseball. The Padres and the Diamondbacks surprisingly make a deal in the same division. Ian Kennedy, who's had a real disappointing season for the Snakes, goes to San Diego. That one popped foul and out of play. The Diamondbacks in need of a left-handed reliever pick up Joe Thatcher, and a minor leaguer, a pretty good minor leaguer, comes over to the Diamondbacks as well. Matt Stites, who's a closer, was a closer in Double-A, now goes over to the Diamondbacks. Polanco up the middle, stopped there by Murphy, turned by Quintanilla, and a nice double play. Daniel Murphy to his right made the difficult pick, and Quintanilla a smooth transition.
Well, it's a beautiful double play started by Murphy. Let's take a look at the rest of the New York Mets defensively, brought to you by Cleveland Clinic. E.Y. Jr., Lagares, and Marlon Byrd in that outfield. Wright and Quintanilla. Murphy played that bad hop to his backhand and really did a nifty job. Ike Davis is smooth over at first, and John Buck behind the plate.
Giancarlo Stanton, an 0 for 3 last night with a walk. Still having a hot couple of weeks. Mets have been very cautious the way they've pitched to Stanton here. Got a pitch to hit, and he fouls it back. The interesting thing about the Padres and Diamondbacks trade is you've got general managers who were general managers for the other team. And so Josh Burns knows Ian Kennedy. It's the second time he's traded to get Kennedy. Kevin Towers, the Diamondbacks general manager, knows Joe Thatcher, and he trades to get Thatcher.
Of course, the Diamondbacks trying to hang in there with the hot Los Angeles Dodgers. Diamondbacks 3.5 games behind L.A.
Stanton takes in. As expected, the Astros have traded Bud Norris, and it's the Baltimore Orioles who get him.
A good pickup for the Orioles to settle Norris into that rotation,
especially with the injury to Jason Hamill for the next couple of weeks. Mostly prospects headed the way of the Astros from the Orioles in that trade. Stanton has walked, and that's nothing new. Giancarlo has been a little more accepting of those walks here in June and July, as we almost turn the calendar over to August.
Well, and because of that, Rich, his on-base percentage is near .380.
With the trade deadline actually having passed, the Phillies did not trade any of the big names. I think a lot of Philly fans were holding their breath. Michael Young did not get dealt. That's not to say that a guy like Young will get dealt or won't get dealt after the trading deadline. Now you've got to clear waivers. It gets complicated now.
Yeah, there's some speculation that he could be traded within the next month. Cliff Lee is still a Philly.
Chooch is still there. Chase Utley, Jonathan Papelbon. Morrison takes away.
Boy, Lomo hit a ball well last night. Early in that no-hitter that Zach Wheeler was twirling. Hit a deep fly ball in the 4th inning. Just at the base of the fence out there by the auxiliary scoreboard near the home run sculpture. Hit that ball well. Tracked down, though, by Juan Lagares, the center fielder.
Stanton waiting at first. Morrison peering out at Henry Mejia. And the 2-0. In the dirt, kicks away from Buck. Stanton now resides at second. On a wild pitch.
John Buck kind of got crossed up. Turning his hand, which way to have it. It'll be a wild pitch. John Buck starting for the 82nd time as the Mets catcher.
We're just underway here in Miami. Mets and Marlins. Mejia against Morrison. Well, you got the 3-0 fastball. Fouls it off. It's 3-1.
You know, when you don't have a lot of depth in your lineup, you give a guy like Lomo, who you want to see drive in runs, you give him that green light. 3-0.
Ed Lucas, who broke up the no-hitter last night, is on deck. Morrison, another liner. He just keeps hitting them hard, and he keeps hitting them at guys. Wow. Quintanilla is there to stop that one. And that's frustrating. Mets and Marlins scoreless here in the top of the second. Henderson Alvarez gets Marlon Byrd, Ike Davis, and John Buck. The New York Mets will be sad to see July go. They've had a nice month. And the pitch misses up. They've won the 2 games here in this series. against a team that had their way with the Mets. The Marlins had dominated this series to start the season, but the Mets are starting to turn the table. The Mets 15-11 this month under Terry Collins. That's the second best winning percentage in the National League, 9th best in the major leagues. There's some hot teams over the American League. Marlins are going to see one of those tomorrow night, or rather on Friday night, the Cleveland Indians. Bird bangs it into the corner. Yelich retrieves it, and Marlon Bird has opened up the second with a double. Bird, of course, 2 hits last night, including a leadoff triple in the 8th.
Yeah, he's just on fire. He's been on fire the entire month of July, and just turns on that pitch, finds that left field corner. The Mets, Rich, come into play tonight just 2.5 games out of second place in the National League East. A long way from Atlanta, but a whole lot closer to Washington than a lot of people think.
That's really stunning. The Nationals are 3 under. The Phils are 6 under. The Mets are a game away from third place, and as you pointed out, 2.5 away from second. Ike Davis. There are your National League East standings. And the Marlins, with the 2 losses here, have fallen back to 25 games under. That was coming off a nice series win over the Pirates, winning 2 of 3. And then before that, winning 3 of 4 in Colorado. Pittsburgh is just red hot as well, having beaten St. Louis 3 times already in that series. Broken bat in the hole. Lucas, long way to go, and safe at first. Not many infield singles in Ike Davis's career, but you just saw one.
Well, Ed Lucas playing near the middle, not expecting Davis to go that way, and you're right, he does not run well. Broken bat off the end of the bat. Just couldn't quite get enough on it. A great effort to try to one-hop it. Good stretch by Logan Morrison, but yeah, Ike Davis doesn't get to say this too often. He just beat out an infield single. But the way the year's gone for him, I'm sure he'll take it.
John Buck. Alvarez misses down low. The Mets set up first and second. Buck's 2 RBIs. Came to the top of the 10th last night. Anthony Recker did the catching in game 1 of the series. Buck swings, fouls it, and then stumbles or slips. Sometimes when you're wearing spikes and you hit the rubber of home plate, he just, that left heel gave out and everything buckled.
Yeah, it's a good place to pitch John Buck. If you can crowd him, we've seen pitchers do it night after night with the young right-hander Jake Marisnick. Buck has a little more experience. He makes the adjustment every now and then, but you can still hammer him hard inside.
Fastball, a strike. It's 1-2. Now Cleveland is headed in this direction, and the Indians have won 6 in a row. They're 10 over our Terry Francona's ball club, and just 2.5 behind Detroit to start play tonight. Buck ready, 1-2 coming. Ground ball, Lucas's way, might be 2. Solano's turn is in time. Marlins get 2. Marlins and Mets here. Let's go to Los Angeles for a Fox Sports 1 game break. Thank you, Molly. The Phillies, as we noted, don't make a big deal. Many thought that possibly a Cliff Lee or a Carlos Ruiz or a Jonathan Papelbon might be dealt. The trading deadline has come and gone. Those guys are still Phillies. Placido Polanco and to talk to Rob Brantley. I think probably to translate a little bit between Brantley and Alvarez. Series closes tomorrow, and if you visit your local Subway restaurant, you get a voucher for a discounted $5 ticket. All seniors 55 and older receive complimentary tickets on Senior Ticket Thursdays, presented by Wellmax Medical Centers. Remember, tomorrow's start time is at 12:40. Juan Legares, hot last night. Alvarez escapes the bat, gets the ball and the out, and he extracts himself from the second inning without a run. Of the second. Social media was big last night. It was email and Twitter Tuesday. Our Twitter poll tonight, AT&T Uverse. Can the Mets catch the Nationals and the Phillies? Hashtag yes, go Mets. Hashtag no, go Mets.
You know what? I think if that was an Phillies or Nationals, I think they might be able to catch one of them. I don't think they'll be able to overtake both. But things seem to just get worse and worse for the Nationals. They were blown out today by the Tigers 11-1 after the Tigers beat them last night. Steven Strasburg giving up a grand slam to Alex Avila.
How badly did the Tigers beat both of those teams, the Nationals and the Phillies? I mean, both of those series were lopsided scores. 40-7. The Tigers outscored the Phillies and the Nationals. John Chimchuk, our baseball historian tonight, was all over that. And the Tigers have won 5 straight against National League East teams. Now, of course, the Marlins and the Tigers will play each other, but oddly, it's the last 3 games of the season, and it's here at Marlins Park. So who knows? The Tigers and the Indians may be dueling for first place in the Central at that point. The Tigers may have clinched.
Jim Leland will be trying to make sure all of his guys are healthy.
Miggy might be going for a triple crown.
Yeah, you know, he missed 3 or 4 games with a hip flexor, played a couple, but he's had to come out again. He wasn't in the lineup today for Detroit, so that hip's bothering him a little bit.
And Lucas. And Mejia misses up with a breaking ball. Donovan Solano. Jake Marisnik. Mejia's just 23. As Tommy pointed out, he's been in the Mets organization for a long time, out of the Dominican Republic. Tommy John surgery in 2011 and bone spurs this year. That's what landed him on the disabled list. He pitched very well in his rehab starts down in the minors up until the 26th of July. And that's when he went out and dominated Washington for 7 innings. Shut him out. Lucas swings and misses. But down goes Lucas. Up comes Solano.
Well, we've talked about the similarities in some aspects of these two clubs. Pitching is certainly a key. And since June 1st, the Mets, their entire staff, are 7th in the major leagues in ERA. So Terry Collins has been getting good pitching from his core.
Here is Donovan Solano. News out of Philadelphia. We were talking about the 4 o'clock deadline today that came and went, and none of the Phillies have been traded. News out of Philly that the Phillies are actually talking about a contract extension with Chase Utley, which is, to me, a very strong signal that Ruben Amaro Jr. and the ownership of the Phillies wants to keep the group together and make a run for it, if not this year, next year.
Well, in hopes that Roy Halladay comes back. All of a sudden you have a healthy Halladay, and you never know.
They're going to need to get younger in some places, though. Obviously, if they extend Utley, you've got Utley, you would think, at second, unless you're able to move Ryan Howard and move Utley over to first. But Howard's got such an enormous contract, you wouldn't think they could move him, Quintanilla, to first in time. And there are 2 outs. Now the legal portion of our telecast. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. That's the one regret I have about the fantasy auction the other night. We were going to have someone from the crowd read the disclaimer.
Could have had some of our friends from Key Largo.
The friends from our show open?
Yeah. That might have been first choice.
Here's the 1-0. Left field, hit well, and deep, and gone. First big league homer for Jake Marisnick. And it's 1-0.
Well, the kids tonight are 2 for 2. Yelich with a base hit. Jake Marisnick, his first career Major League home run. We had a poll the other night. You and I were talking who we thought would hit their first Major League home run. And I thought I said Jake Marisnick. All right.
And the silent treatment. No one is. He's still looking. It's a tradition in baseball, the silent treatment for a first home run. And Marisnick finally gets his fist bumps, his high fives, and his hugs.
Boy, that was a no-doubter, too.
Now Brantley takes down low. Another look. You're right about moving off the plate and looking a little more square to the plate.
I think a week or so ago, he might not hit that ball as well. Fastball kind of tailed in, stayed about belt high. And Marisnick with a powerful swing. The thing about Marisnick, he was on a nice roll just before his call-up. He was hitting around 350 his last 17 games at AA.
Which is odd because he walked into the big leagues and he was cold as ice for 6-7 games, but not on this homestand, not in this series especially. He's 4 for 7 in this series. Last night he got his first big league RBI, and tonight he gets his first big league home run. That gentleman has the ball. Craig is on his way. I think the fan explaining, hey, is there someone's going to come out here and ask you for the ball?
You can work a deal. You can work a deal. You said Craig will be here any minute.
That's right. The mayor of Marlins Park.
Craig, nice to meet you. The whole story. What do you
Brantley and Murphy diving, throws the first in time. A Jim Edmonds-like dive for Daniel Murphy there at second base. Jake Marisnick goes deep for the first time, and Miami has a 1-0 lead. Jake Marisnick, his first big league home run, has Miami on top 1-0. You know the drill. You hit your first big league home run. The ball club does everything they can to get the ball. That gentleman didn't make the catch, but he plucked it from the seats. Here's the silent treatment after that Clevelander home run. Nothing going on here. Nothing to see here.
Guys looking the other way.
Let's go out to Craig Minervini where that baseball is. Craig?
Thanks, guys. Ricardo from Hialeah. You told your wife, you warned your wife, right-handed hitters, be ready, right?
Yes, I did.
Yes, he did.
Right before the hitter?
Yeah, no, from earlier on, he kept telling me just to watch my head.
And what'd you think? Now, you didn't get it on the fly. Any disappointment initially?
Oh, yeah, I wanted to catch it barehanded.
But what happened?
It bounced my way. So it was coming. It was meant for me.
And here it is. And now, it's Morris here. The Marlins are already on the scene. Now, how does the process work in terms of getting... Hold the baseball up, Ricardo. There's the ball right there. That's Ricardo's ball. How's the process work now?
What happens, the stadium rep generally come talk to the fan, and they give him a jersey, a ball, a bat, a signed ball, or a bat.
Who works the deal? Do you work the deal out?
I wish I did. I wish I did. Somebody from the stadium.
Somebody from the stadium. So he'll come and meet now. What are you gonna do? That's his first homer.
I would like the ball and signed.
You might want the ball, though, Ricardo.
How
about a nice? I'm sure they could set you up with a nice memorabilia. I don't know what item. Bat, jersey, something like that. That would be neat.
I'm sure he would want the ball.
Yeah. You'll work something out.
Yeah. My people will talk with his people.
All right.
That's awesome.
We'll let you know, guys. Good job. And way to stay alert there.
Thank you very much.
That's a great line. That's a great line.
We'll do lunch.
Henry Mejia is up now. Mejia in the 9th spot for the Mets. Eric Young Jr. facing Henderson Alvarez. One of the things we've seen in Alvarez, especially in the ball games against Milwaukee and Pittsburgh, and I think we've seen it here, he's not a strikeout guy, but there's not a lot of solid contact to show.
We saw those numbers in his numbers last year with Toronto. He threw 187 innings, had just 79 strikeouts. Didn't waste any time putting away Mejia.
Marlins a 1-0 lead. Let's go to Los Angeles for a Fox Sports 1 game break. Molly, last night you were talking about Freddie Freeman hitting a pair of home runs against the Rockies, and he's back at it again. Freeman's driven in 70 on the season. Here's Young. Takes a fastball for a strike. Braves right now playing with Evan Gattis out in left field. He's getting a lot of time out there. Ryan McCann has been hot. Despite the loss of Tim Hudson, the Braves still rolling. That one is drilled right center field and deep and gone. Oh, wait a minute. The umpire says it's in play. That looked like it hit the bushes. I think that's a home run. The Mets are saying it's a home run. Young says it's a home run, and I think we're going to get a review. Andy Fletcher is the second base umpire. He was out there. From our vantage point, it looked like it hit the bushes and then came back. Terry Collins comes out, and Andy Fletcher says, let's see.
Yeah, I'm with you, Rich. I think once we see it, yeah, there's the bushes.
Now, the question is, does it brush the bushes on the way back?
Oh, no, it's top of the wall.
No.
Boy, the first look, you thought it was over, but it looks like it hits the top of that padded wall above the Stanley sign. There's a better look. Ooh. Oh, that's a different look.
That is a different look, and on that look, if we could slow that look down, that is a real tough one. Now, the process works this way. The umpires go in. They have a high-definition screen. In New York, they have the replays from both the Mets telecast and the Marlins telecast. And if the ball hits the top of the wall and then brushes those bushes, that's a home run. But if it did not touch the bushes, it will stay as a triple. From this angle, it's really tough to tell.
From that angle, you kind of see a little squish in the padding. Right there.
Yeah, well, you see it clearly hit the padding. The question is, did it brush anything?
Did it go back to the bushes and then come back?
Now, here's the angle that's an interesting one.
No, I think it comes.
Yeah, you're right. It's clean.
Back.
That comes back cleanly.
It doesn't go back and brush the bushes.
That's clean. So instead of a home run, Eric Young Jr. is going to have to settle for a triple.
And so far this year, for Henderson Alvarez, working in his 33rd inning, he's not allowed a home run. And from the various views we got, I would have to think that was not a home run. We'll see.
Mets were very adamant about it, and from our view, it looked like it hit the bushes.
And rightly so.
Yeah. We haven't seen many balls up in those bushes or off the top of the wall.
I mean,
there.
Eric Young Jr., you don't expect to hit monster home runs, and that's a deep part of the ballpark out there. The ball was crushed by E.Y. Jr. playing in his 36th game as a Met.
Umpires come out.
It's
a triple.
Triple. All right, Joe West, the crew chief, got his guys together. A youngster behind the plate is the umpire, Adam Hamry.
You got a veteran, Joe West, as your crew chief. Fletcher made the call. And it did not brush the bushes. Though the Marlins might want to do a little trimming there. A little parkscaping, so to speak. There's Daniel Murphy. So it's a triple. That's one of the longest, deepest triples you'll see hit. Not only deep to right center, but off the top of the wall. Just as the wall starts climbing up into that left center field corner. Alvarez has to collect himself and get a good hitter out here in Daniel Murphy.
Well, for Young, it's his 5th triple this year.
So the Marlins have a 1-0 lead by the slimmest of margins. Alvarez thought he had a strike. David Wright on deck. Jake Marisnick has homered. He left no doubt with his. He put it up into the blue seats above the Mets bullpen.
Boy, with Murphy and Wright, it's kind of pick your poison. Both have been swinging the bat well, especially in the month of July. Last day of July here, Rich, July 31st.
The trading deadline was 4 o'clock. That's passed.
You and I are still here.
There were rumors. Murphy walks, and now Alvarez has to face Wright. The Giants, some thought Hunter Pence was going to be traded, but Hunter Pence is in right field.
His name was out there with a Marlon Byrd, with an Alex Rios, veteran right-handed hitting outfielders.
One's in. You could hear Adam Hammery, the home plate umpire. David Wright just a tick under 300 with runners in scoring position this year, 299.
Yes.
It's a swing and a strike. And it's 1-2.
Well, that close call, too, on the triple by Young keeps the shutout string alive for Henderson Alvarez. 15 plus innings now over his last 3 starts.
1-2 on Wright. Daniel Murphy at first. Eric Young Jr. thought he had a home run. Is at third. Wright flips it to right. Stanton there, and he makes the catch. A matter of inches. And the Marlins hang on to a 1-0 lead. 1-0 ball game. Marlins on top of the Mets. Duffy's deal. It's back. The Indians and the Marlins. It's in play for that Saturday night game for $40, a lower level ticket, round trip motor coach transportation from Duffy's, a $10 Duffy's gift card. The next Duffy's deal game is coming up Saturday, August 3rd against the Indians at 7:10. Go to marlins.com/Duffy's. Let's check in with Craig Minervini. Craig.
All right, guys. Ricardo has a bad right wrist, so we had to try that one-handed catch, and he walked by me. He said, boy, I really wish I would have caught it barehanded. But he did make the deal with the Marlins team representative. He's going to get a signed baseball and a signed baseball bat from Jake Marisnick. And Jake Marisnick's going to have a treasured souvenir. His first homer was no cheapie. Just to my left here. Just short. I don't know what the official distance is, but that's about a 400-foot shot. Guys?
409. You're just about right there, Craig.
Well, it's a nice one to get out of the way.
Henderson Alvarez, Christian Yelich, and Placido Polanco. Well, the Marlins need somebody to get hot right now because they've come in to play the Mets. Lost 6-5 on Monday, 4-2 last night. Little tapper out in front of home plate. Mejia bounces it safe.
Wow, that's terrific base running by Alvarez to get the infield base hit. Mejia made a pretty good play, got a nice pick from Mike Davis. But Alvarez was going up the line like a flash.
I think he was out, Tommy. Whoa, bang, bang.
Pretty much bang, bang. And umpires will tell you that short hop that skips into the glove, it's hard to hear and watch and everything. That's a tough call.
That's a great point. Umpires are watching the bag, listening for the glove. Yelich gets into that one. Left field. Young can't get it. And it's off the wall. Alvarez a late start from first. And now he arrives at third, and Yelich has got himself a double. And the kids are all right tonight. Yelich is 2 for 2. Marisnick has a home run, and Miami is set up at second and third. And nobody out.
Boy, that two-seamer just tailing away. Yelich showing a little pop the other way. Fooled E.Y. Jr. Got it just off his glove over his head. Alvarez had to pause just to make sure with nobody out. He had to make sure that ball was not going to be caught. Once it got over Young's head, he took off. Second and third, nobody out.
You get a sense if John Buck fields that little tapper, it's an easier play for him. You get the out at first. Now Yelich is at second with one out. Instead, it's second and third and nobody out. And it's Polanco, Stanton, and Morrison all lined up.
Boy, this is one of those nice 2-for-1 situations. If Polanco can hit a ground ball to the right side, he could get a run in from third, and he could move Yelich over to third. Now, Yelich has to be alive. He has to watch the runner at third base. He doesn't want to run Alvarez off the bag.
And that's the wild card.
Yeah.
You can tell Alvarez you're running on first contact or anything on the ground up the middle you're running, but whether he does it or not, he's not an experienced base runner. Polanco fouls that off his foot.
Yeah, we know he's a good athlete. We've seen that. We know he can run well. We just saw that, but the experience out there isn't there.
See, everybody else is back. Quintanilla and Murphy up the middle. Wright well off the line and about 10 feet behind the bag at third. Polanco followed that breaking ball all the way outside of the plate.
This is a situation, too, where the Marlins have something going and they have the good part of their lineup coming up, too.
Stanton next, Morrison after him. Two and two. Bob Nightingale of USA Today is reporting that Major League Baseball is prepared to levy a lifetime suspension on Yankee third baseman Alex Rodriguez. That just breaking.
Well, the word is on the other suspensions, it sounds like they'll be coming down Friday.
That's Bob Nightingale of USA Today. A lifetime suspension. To right, Bird is there, tagging his Alvarez. He's coming home. The throw up the line, and that's your 2 for 1, though it wasn't a ground ball. And it's 2-0 Miami.
Even better for Polanco. He gets the sac fly and the RBI. So great job by Placido Polanco, who's such a good hitter in those situations. He was trying to hit the ball that way all along. Gets it deep enough. Joe Espada helping out Alvarez. Yelling, go, go, go. He scored easily, and Yelich went over to third base, too.
Now Stanton, the infield reluctantly comes in with Stanton up.
And this would take your life in your own hands if you have to come in with Stanton up there.
Stanton, a high blast. Left field. EY is under it. He makes the catch.
My goodness.
And Yelich is going to trot home easily. That was a roof scraper here at Marlins Park.
We have not had a ball in almost 2 years now hit any of those beams up there. In my estimation, that's one of the closest ones we've had. And yeah, he just got under it. It would have been unbelievable to watch this ball had he not just missed it. Lots of hang time, and very easily does Yelich score. So some good baseball in this inning as far as the Marlins doing some of the little things.
Surprised Young didn't signal for a fair catch. 3-0. Morrison now with 2 outs. And the Marlins chase the 2 runs home.
It was kind of like a Reggie Roby kick.
Very nice. Terry Collins didn't like what he saw. Remember, Mejia, Tommy John surgery in 11, bone spurs from spring training through the first 3 months of the season. And all of a sudden, aerobics has breaking out. It's a jazzercise session right now. Everybody figures they better get loose because you're not sure who the manager is going to call upon. It's almost like the Mets bullpen coach turned to everyone and said, "Everybody, get loose."
Down there, pal Ricky Bomas saying, "All right, guys."
See if we see anything on the last pitch from Mejia. I didn't really see anything. 1-0 to Morrison. A lot of sink on that.
Good breaking ball. Good two-seamer the pitch before.
One and two. Morrison pulls it. Davis backing up, gets to the bag, and gets the out. But the Marlins get a couple hits to start the inning. Pair of sac flies. Henderson Alvarez has a 3-0 lead. Los Angeles now for a Fox Sports 1 game break. Thank you, Molly. And in Miami, the Marlins have built a 3-0 lead over the Mets. Henderson Alvarez, who has been outstanding his last 2 starts, is at it again in the 4th. Marlon Byrd takes a breaking ball outside. Ike Davis and John Buck right behind him.
Rich, Henderson Alvarez really set up that entire inning, hustling up the line and getting that infield base hit. If he doesn't lead the inning off with the base hit, and you project what happens, Yelich doubled and then a couple of fly ball outs, the inning would have been over. So he really got that inning going.
Byrd got the second inning going with a leadoff double. Ike Davis legged out an infield hit, but a double play grounder from John Buck and a broken bat roller from Juan Lagares. And Alvarez escaped. He barely escaped in the 3rd when Eric Young Jr. hit a ball about 415 feet off the very edge of the very top of the wall, just on the left side of that Stanley sign, right up by the bushes. It was reviewed. It did not touch any of the bushes on its way back to the field, and it was a triple. And Alvarez pitched around that as well. And Marlon Byrd hits one hard to center. There's one out. Cold hard fact brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Alvarez approaching Ryan Webb's and Steve Cishek's numbers as far as scoreless streaks.
Of course, a little different for a starting pitcher. Relief pitcher, a little different for him. He does that over a period of weeks.
Ed Lucas at shortstop tonight.
Hey, by the way, Ed Lucas has gotten tested a couple of times. Remember the infield base hit by Davis. Tough play, but then he made a nice play on Quintanilla's ground ball. Started a double play in the 2nd inning, 6-4-3.
Here is John Buck.
We've been talking, Rich, about that series against the Indians. How about Friday night's matchup? Don't miss this one. Jose Fernandez against Ubaldo Jimenez.
As we told you, the Indians are hot. They have raced back up in the Central. It would be odd to see Terry Francona in a Indians uniform, but I guess it's not odd to see a Francona in an Indians uniform.
Oh, his dad Tito, and of course everybody calls Terry Tito, a longtime Indian. It'll be odd to see Nick Swisher in an Indians uniform.
Michael Bourne in an Indians uniform. Jason Giambi. Counts 1-2 to the Mets catcher John Buck. And it's another one of those ball games where Alvarez isn't dominating, though the Mets have squared up more balls than the Pirates did, and even the Brewers did in his last 2 starts. I mean, Bird's out was allowed out. He's doubled. Young hit that mammoth triple. Buck to short. Lucas has it eat him up, and that'll be an error. So an E6.
Anytime you go back, you seem to get yourself in trouble. He goes back. He thinks he's going to get the better hop. He does not. Ball comes up on him. He still had time when he reached down because John Buck was the runner. Still had time, but once he reached down, he bobbled that one too.
There are differences between playing third and playing short, and that's one of those. Is if you knock it down at a deep spot at shortstop, you have a very thin line for error. You've got to pick it and throw it immediately. As a third baseman, you knock it down. It falls in front of you. It's a much shorter distance. High chopper. Lucas makes this play and just barely gets Juan Legares. 3-0 Miami. Is brought to you by Honda. Visit your Honda dealer for great lease and finance deals on fuel-efficient Hondas. By Coventry Healthcare of Florida, lighting the way to better health. And by Metro PCS, unlimited 4G data, talk, and text on Metro PCS Wireless for all. Night has fallen in Miami, where the Marlins and the Mets are going at it. Henry Mejia, Henderson Alvarez. And it's 3-0. Marlins on top. Last night there was drama when Zach Wheeler took a no-hitter into the 7th inning. He got it out in the 7th before he walked Logan Morrison. Ed Lucas broke up that no-hitter with a liner to right. And here is Lucas leading it off in the bottom of the 4th. Donovan Solano, Jake Marisnick. Marisnick hit his first home run of his big league career in the 2nd. A pair of sacrifice flies in the 3rd. Placido Polanco and Giancarlo Stanton. Noon start for Marlins Live tomorrow. So sleep fast, as they say in the game.
Sleep fast.
Lucas swings and misses. Lucas struck out back in the 2nd. Counts 1-2. Most news services now are running with the Alex Rodriguez story. FoxSports.com from AP reporting exactly what we had said before, that USA Today, citing 2 sources, reported that Commissioner Bud Selig is prepared to issue a lifetime suspension for Alex Rodriguez. Swing and a miss by Ed Lucas.
It sounds to me, Rich, in some of the things I've read, that the other players who are going to be suspended have accepted what they've been handed, 50 games, whatever, and that should come out sometime Friday. But in the things I read, it sounded like Alex Rodriguez was not going to accept that and was going to have his agents and attorneys take it a little further.
I think one thing is clear in reading over the last couple of days is that the players that are going to be suspended know they're going to be suspended.
Yes.
Major League Baseball has met with the Players Association and the representatives of those players over the last couple of days.
There was actually a trade made, a 3-team trade involving 3 teams, where the Tigers acquired Iglesias, the young shortstop, because they're expecting Johnny Peralta to be one of those players suspended.
Solano pulls that one foul. And I know a lot of people look at baseball and say, I look at baseball, everyone's on this and everyone's on that. There's no HGH test in football. There's no HGH test in basketball, hockey. Major League Baseball has the closest drug testing to the Olympic standard of any of the professional sports. Solano goes down on a breaking ball. And until HGH testing comes a little further, I think the only way to catch guys with not only HGH but the fast-acting testosterone, which was Melky Cabrera's drug of choice and a lot of the guys last year, you have to, as Major League Baseball has done here, follow the paper, follow the trail. And that is certainly part of the collective bargaining agreement.
And I've said this before, I think because baseball is such a statistic-driven sport, I don't think people really care if a 300-pound lineman who might be on something cracks into a running back coming around to try to gain a couple of extra yards.
Bouncer to third, right, across the diamond in time, and Henry Mejia has regained his bearings in the 4th. Marlins up 3-0. We're back after this sports injury prevention message from Cleveland Clinic, Florida. time for the Jesserman mustache and beard play like a champ profile. Jake Marisnick, who made his Major League debut at Colorado, hitless his first 14. Since then, he's hitting 4 of 5. Last night, his first Major League RBI, and tonight, his first Major League home run. And we check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
All right, thank you very much, Rich. Trade deadline day today, and the Marlins, nothing happening. Larry Beinfest told me it was fairly quiet. When I asked him, he said, well, let me put it this way. There was nothing close. Never a deal that we were this close away on, and then making a deal. Yes, there were conversations. As per team policy, no names were thrown out by the Marlins president. Although, reportedly, Chad Qualls, a lot of interest in him, and perhaps some of the other Marlin veterans. Obviously, a lot of interest in Giancarlo Stanton. And Larry Beinfest did tell me that because the team has played so much better since the end of May, things were different approaching this deadline. Had things continued in April and May, it may have been a blow-up scenario where you really had to look at where this team was going. The other thing he mentioned, as that one just gets over Lucas's head, is when you bring up younger guys, winning is important. We may not make a run for the playoffs this year, but having veterans surround them in both the clubhouse and then out on the field to help them win is important, because that's what it's all about ultimately, and that's where the Marlins want to go. So for all those reasons, a fairly and rare quiet day, though Larry said, hey, we've been busy in the last month, and he said, keep an eye on some of the guys we've picked up in the past, like Ryan Flynn, pitcher. He's done a great job in the minors. Rich and Tommy?
Thank you, Craig. Yeah, we talked about Flynn and some of the young pitchers, the next wave of prospects for Miami last night. Brantley out quickly, makes a nice throw there. Lucas the turn quickly for a double play. How sweet is that?
Oh, that is sweet. That's nice. It's a heads-up play by Rob Brantley. We have talked all year about the things he is learning as a catcher behind the plate, but one of the things that he can do is throw. This ball on the money with something on it, and then the quick turn by Lucas. How about a 2-6-4 double play?
Eric Young Jr., who came inches away from a home run and had to settle for a umpire-reviewed triple, stands in. Jam shot and another ground ball out, and a 5-pitch inning for Henderson Alvarez.
En español es presentado en SAP por Coventry Healthcare of Florida.
Back in Marlins Park, some dinner going on. Marlins and Mets. Day game tomorrow. It's a finish up the 4-game series. And then on Friday night, the Red Hot Indians are here. It's the 2nd of August. The Sir Pizza 4-pack includes 4 tickets, 4 personal Sir Pizzas, and 4 Pepsi soft drinks on that Fireworks Friday for just $60. Fireworks show presented by Bacardi after the game. Go to Marlins.com for tickets. Rob Brantley, Henderson Alvarez, and then Christian Yelich. Brantley pulls it foul. You've just settled in for this one. Miami beaten in the first 2 games of this series by the Mets last night in 10 innings. Tonight, Jake Marisnick got the scoring started. His first big league homer, a deep shot to left, 409 feet worth. Mejia misses out. And then Placido Polanco and Giancarlo Stanton both chased home runs with sacrifice flies in the 3rd. And Henderson Alvarez has been the Henderson Alvarez of his last 2 starts. So far, shutting down New York in 5 innings.
I'll tell you one thing about Henderson Alvarez. In his last start against Pittsburgh, he threw 58 pitches through 5 innings. He's thrown 55 pitches through 5 innings tonight. And remember, he could have gone longer in that game against the Pirates.
And the game against the Brewers was an epic fail offensively, to put it mildly.
That entire series.
Well, that game in particular, it was scoreless until the bottom of the 13th. Davis picks it up and steps on the bag, and Brantley is out. That was the game in which Caleb Kindle hit a walk-off homer, and it was his first home run. And you saw the silent treatment for Marisnick here tonight. Well, walk-off home runs are usually celebrated at home plate with a big dog pile, guys punching and throwing whatever. And Gindel homered to left, and the Brewers had the presence of mind to not go out to the plate, and they all went down the tunnel towards the clubhouse. And Alvarez has another hit. Alvarez knocks it into right field, his 2nd hit of the ballgame. So Gindel had walked off, and as he rounded 3rd, waiting for the big dog pile at home, there was nobody there except, I believe it was one rookie, Gene Segura.
He didn't get the memo.
No, he's a rookie. He didn't know. And everybody else was way up the runway towards the clubhouse.
Hey, Alvarez has doubled his hit total tonight. He came into the game 2 for 8. He's 2 for 2. So Henderson Alvarez right now 4 for 10.
Speaking of 2 for 2, Christian Yelich 2 for 2. Yelich has singled and doubled. And he was riding an 0 for 16 coming into the ballgame. On the ground, Davis gets a tricky hop and then throws it into left field. Alvarez takes a left turn and heads to 3rd. Mike Davis generally makes that play pretty easily, but his throw was wide of Omar Quintanilla.
Yeah, you don't see Ike Davis do this too often. He's a very good first baseman. Throw really shallow. There'll be an error on Davis. And alertly, Alvarez picked up the ball. And once he saw the ball, then he was able to get over to 3rd.
So Marlins at the corners, and this has a almost the same feel as the third inning when Alvarez and Yelich were aboard after hits. Polanco and Stanton, and Mejia nearly airmails a pickoff throw, which would have been another disaster.
Well, what a lesson for any young player when he just stepped off and he saw that Yelich wasn't hardly off the bag. It doesn't matter. Just throw it over there like you normally would, or you might do what he almost did. Keep in mind, both innings have started, the innings that the Marlins scored, with base hits by Alvarez.
Polanco bounced into a double play in the first. His sacrifice fly scored Alvarez in the third.
Talked about the Mets going with a six-man rotation. Got Mejia, Jeremy Hefner, Zach Wheeler, Matt Harvey, Dylan G, and Carlos Torres.
Polanco's fly ball not real deep. Alvarez tags in his bird, makes the catch. Alvarez comes halfway, and the throw is cut by Davis. A heads-up play by Bird to hit the cutoff man because Yelich may have tried to take second. Polanco fails to get the run home. Here comes Stanton.
Yeah, that time Placido Polanco just couldn't get it deep enough.
The Nationals wiped out, as Molly told you earlier tonight. Detroit 11-1 over Washington. The Reds beat San Diego 4-1. Toronto in extra innings took down Oakland 5-2. That was in 10 innings.
How about this signing, free agent signing yesterday? The Dodgers signing former Giant closer Brian Wilson. Coming back from Tommy John. It's his second Tommy John surgery.
Pitch misses in. And it's 1-1. Stanton walked in the first. His sacrifice fly was to deep left in the third. Two and 1. He was such a revered Giant that the fact that the Dodgers signed him.
Fear the beard. Now the beard's going to be in Dodger blue.
Well, there'll be the battle of the beards with Romo closing for the Giants and Wilson out of that bullpen. Though it remains to be seen.
Do you think he'll still have the same look? Remember, they tried to tone down Manny Ramirez a little bit. He went there. I just don't know how Vin Scully will take that.
Well, I'm sure he'll tell stories about the origin of the beard. It's interesting to note. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Stanton, a mean rip. And it's 3-2. Christian Yelich, the runner at first, full count, 2 outs. He'll be on the move. Stanton pulls a ground ball right to his left. Makes an accurate throw and gets the out. on top of the Mets in the 6th in Miami. Fox Saturday Baseball returns. The Dodgers head to Chicago to take on the Cubs. Or you've got the Rangers headed to Oakland. Braves, Phillies also on the menu. Fox Saturday Baseball. It all starts 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central. This Saturday on Fox.
Well, what a scene at Dodger Stadium the last couple of nights. 2-game series, Yankees and Dodgers. Walk-off win for LA last night on a former Gator Mark Ellis base hit. Bottom of the 9th inning.
Daniel Murphy, David Wright, Marlon Byrd. Mets in the 6th. Henderson Alvarez has not surrendered a run in his last 3 starts. And the Mets aren't going to get one here, as Murphy bounces out to Solano. 3-0 Miami here. Let's go to Los Angeles. A Fox Sports 1 game break. Thank you, Molly. Former Marlin Matt Dominguez is 3 for 3 in that ball game for the Astros. Baltimore acquiring from Houston. Well, that was handy. Bud Norris.
He just had to change locker room.
Yeah, he had to go in Camden Yards from the third base locker room over to the first base locker room. Alvarez facing David Wright.
He can stay in the same hotel and send his incidental bill to the Orioles now.
You think ball clubs do that? You think, hey, look, you crushed the mini bar the first night you were in. That's going to the Astros. You had room service on the 3rd day. I think that's Baltimore's. Two and two. David Wright waits on a 2-2 pitch. Bouncer to short. Lucas gets the out.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. He changes speeds. Breaking ball once in a while, change up once in a while. We just never got to see a lot of Henderson Alvarez in spring training because of that shoulder inflammation.
I got 14 ground ball outs on the score sheet. And there are 2 outs. It's only the 6th inning. Are you with me on that?
I have 14 as well, so that actually is very good that we're on the same page with that.
Very rare is what it is. Marlon Byrd's hit it hard twice tonight. He's doubled and lined to center.
We should check with John Chimchuk, though, who also has 14.
That makes me feel better.
Maybe 15.
Lucas behind the bag. Morrison picks it, safe at first. Alvarez sprawled across the mound.
Tough play. Marlon Byrd, 35, still run a little bit. It's amazing with Ed Lucas having played a lot of third and some second base. I think he started one game at short this year. It's amazing the number of opportunities, the ground balls that have been hit his way tonight. I think what it shows the demands of a shortstop.
I think it also illustrates how good Adeiny Echeverria is, because I know I have, and maybe you have as well. You come to expect any ball hit out there is going to be an out. No matter how tricky the hop, no matter how difficult the play, Echeverria seems to make it.
You know, he's learning too. Was talking to Perry Hill about Echeverria, and on that really nice play made last night, a kind of a backhand pick. It was, I forget what the count was, but it was a situation where Perry would have moved him over. He said Etch moved on his own, so he's starting to learn. Ed Lucas has 6 assists tonight. He has 1 put out, and he has 1 error.
Two-one pitch. Alvarez misses down low. Good natural sink. Three-one. Both teams with an error tonight. That's a strike. Davis didn't like it.
I think on a whole, the young umpire, Adam Emery, has done a nice job tonight. Seen too many grumblings on either side.
That's a good call. I mean, that's right at the knees and right over the plate. Especially a pitch like that that sinks. It's front of the plate. That's where the ball is measured by both Fox Tracks and by umpires. Which drives hitters nuts because they set up at the back of the box, some even out of the back of the box, and the front of the plate is 2 or 3 feet in front of them. St. Louis and the Pirates are back at it tonight. And remember, the Pirates have won 3 in a row. That town is just exploding right now as the Pirates, who 2 weeks ago kind of stumbled in the standings. The Pirates have won 3 in a row against St. Louis and have a 1.5 lead going into play tonight. And it's 4-3 St. Louis right now. Midway through that one.
Well, when the Pirates started that 3-game series here against the Marlins, they were coming off a 9-10 stretch over the last 19 games.
Davis still up there. Bird at first. That one's hooked in the corner, and that's trouble with Bird on the run on the 3-2 pitch. He's going to score. Mike Davis's double has given the Mets their first run. It's a 3-1 game.
Well, that was a battle, and you knew that Alvarez was just going to keep pouring fastballs in. He didn't want to walk him, and finally Davis got one that he could pull, got it into that corner. Mets have done a pretty good job with 2 outs in this series. 8 of their 11 runs in this series have come with 2 outs.
So Alvarez gives up his first run in his last 3 games. Buck swings and misses. 0-1. Ball and a strike. Bucks reached on an air, bounced into a double play. Mets have out hit the Marlins 6-5. Sawed him off. Alvarez fields, and Morrison is there to secure the out. Mets get their first run, and it's 3-1. Ike Davis with an RBI double. Freeze Cam brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Big moment for the 22-year-old out of Riverside, California. His first major league home run that got the Marlins started. He got the Frost Brewed silent treatment. Look at no one paying any attention. And Marissa couldn't stand it. He finally had to break the silence.
Lomo over there to get him first. Hope the folks back in California got the MLB package up so they can see that.
I think so. I think we got the thumbs up from Jake the other day on that. All wired up. Logan Morrison, Ed Lucas, Donovan Solano, and if anybody reaches, Marisnik will get an AB here in the 6th. Henry Mejia misses in. Morrison a bolt to short and a bouncer to first on an 0 for 2 night. Morrison is on one of those runs right now where he's swinging the bat well, but he has just about nothing to show for it. He's 0 for 8 in this series. You talked about the ball that he hit near the top of the wall in left center field in last night's ball game. And it's a line drive.
I mean, even there he broke the bat, but he hit the ball pretty well on a line drive, but right to Ike Davis.
Ed Lucas now.
Lucas has been seeing a steady diet of Henry Mejia's breaking ball. He's stayed away with it. Once in a while he'll throw him his fastball. Tough night for Ed. He's 0 for 2, couple of strikeouts.
strike to Lucas. Marlins and Mets tomorrow. And one to watch, certainly, Matt Harvey against Tom Kohler. The new 21-year-old as of today. Jose Fernandez's birthday today. He'll get another day to celebrate and then go back to work against Ubaldo Jimenez. That is Friday night.
It's a great shot of Jose and Yelich. I remember, I think you were with me last September, when their seasons were over. They both came out and were hanging around the batting cage, not in uniform, just because their seasons had ended. They were both standing around the batting cage. Of course, Yelich watching Stanton hit a few out. Fernandez talking about not being able to go more than 5 innings last year because they wouldn't let him.
Neither, as I remember the night, Tommy, neither were in awe. Neither looked out of place. And you just got the sense that they were just taking inventory of how soon it would be till they were on the other side of that cage.
And it's amazing when you think about it. Here they are. One of them is an all-star this year. And the other one getting his feet wet. A couple of hits tonight. Had 3 hits in his major league debut.
Count 2-2 to Lucas. As Tommy pointed out, Terry Collins and the Mets have crept up on the Phillies and the Nationals. Well, Trickler and Davis can't get it in time. It's a foul ball. New life for Lucas. Or maybe you can put it the other way around. The Nationals and the Phillies have crept back towards the Mets. A little of both.
Well, Phillies getting beaten tonight 7-1 by the Giants in the 6th inning.
And so the Twitter poll, AT&T Uverse, can the Mets finish ahead of Washington and Philly? I think
I can't argue that.
I say yeah.
Yeah, I can't argue that.
I think they can.
Nationals 11-1 losers to the Tigers. Phillies losing tonight.
3 strikeouts for Lucas. And Donovan Solano comes up. Henry Mejia still going strong here in the 6th. Solano, right field, and a base hit. And that's going to get Marisnick an at bat here in the 6th inning. First hit for Solano of the night. A home run and a ground out to third. And a bouncer to short. Quintanilla, quick release, gets the out. Mejia, after giving up the 3 early runs, has been tough. He gets through 6. Good pitching matchup here. Henderson Alvarez has been good, and Henry Mejia straightened up after giving up the 3 runs. Cholula Hot Sauce Spotlight player tonight. Let's learn about Juan Legares from the Dominican Republic. Free agent signed by the Mets. Made his major league debut this year, and he's played 5 positions over 625 minor league games. Anything you can do to get to the show. Alvarez comes into this inning. 76 pitches.
Well, in the pitcher spot for the Mets, Mejia is due up 3rd, so their bullpen gets busy. He'll be pinch hit for.
Thus the Mets have Scott Rice going in the bullpen. Polanco fields it, throws to first. Is it a foul ball?
Well, I looked at a couple of umpires. Murray, the home plate umpire, called it late. First base umpire Rob Drake had his hands up. He's got a good view over there at first.
So the count's 2-2. And Legares gets plunked. You can see him holding that left elbow. Alvarez hits. Legares, it's a tight ball game. It's a 2-run ball game.
Well, the target's inside. You can see Rob Brantley setting there, and that pitch just, no intent or anything there. Pitch just totally got away from him and ran into Legares.
Quintanilla now. Josh Satin is on deck.
Quintanilla runs really well, so you just have to make sure as an infielder, you don't want to try to force a double play. You just have to make sure you get one.
4-3 Cardinals over the Pirates in the bottom of the 5th. The Cardinals playing without Yadier Molina then to put him on the disabled list with a sprained knee.
What's that same knee that was acting up earlier in the year? It's a big blow to St. Louis. They have gotten a good night from Matt Holliday, though, 3 for 3 with a couple of RBIs.
The pattern that we see here is Brantley go out to talk to Alvarez, and then Polanco come in to translate. Marlins bullpen is stirring.
Trying to think, Rich, if it was Hideo Nomo or one of the other Asian pitchers coming over to the United States in their first year or so had a translator with them, and they had to get permission, the Dodgers did, from Major League Baseball to have that translator be able to go to the mound during a talk with the manager.
Well, they've changed the rule now this year. You can have a translator go out with you with the pitching coach.
Yeah, they never had a rule like that.
Except I think equal time amendment, you should be able to have a translator go to home plate with a hitting coach. Ground ball, Solano. Lucas.
Don't force it, but you can get it. 4-6-3. It's the third double play the Marlins have turned tonight. They have really helped out Henderson Alvarez. Pretty routine. Few hops, Solano to Lucas, and plenty of time to get Quintanilla. $17 ground ball outs now.
Andrew Brown is going to get the pinch hit. Satin was called back into the dugout after the double play. Andrew Brown, 28-year-old outfielder out of Dallas, Texas. Spent most of his professional career in the minor leagues with the Cardinals. Finally got to St. Louis in 2011. Last year split his time between AAA Colorado Springs and the Rockies.
So Brown has spent a little time in Jupiter, Florida,
yes,
up at Roger Dean.
Yes, he has. To right, Stan is there, and he makes the catch. Henderson Alvarez, 7 innings, just a run. Terrific stuff. in Miami. The Marlins have a 3-1 lead. Henderson Alvarez heading right to you to get his bat out of the rack and get ready to go in the bottom of the 7th. 7 innings for Alvarez. He's given up just the 1 run. He's due up 2nd in the inning. Christian Yelich due up 3rd. Rob Brantley will lead it off. Game tomorrow, remember, a 12:40 start. So everybody make your breakfast plans, get lunch lined up, and get a chance to see Matt Harvey pitch if you come down to the ballpark, or you can join us. Our broadcast day starts at noon. That will be Scott Rice.
Scott Rice been a busy guy out of that bullpen for the Mets this year. 54th appearance for Rice. A lot of times in situations, because with those 53 innings, or 53 appearances, just 38 innings coming into this appearance here.
Brantley has bounced out. Rice misses in.
Scott Rice has been around, and you talk, and we have talked a lot about the Ed Lucas story. This is Scott Rice's 15th professional season, and it's his first entree into the major leagues.
It's amazing. I would think if Rice and Lucas, that would be a fascinating. You could do a 30-minute talk show with just those two guys, trading stories about minor league cities.
A lot of the cities for Lucas we've talked about. For Rice, he came up in the Orioles organization, spent time in the Rangers organization, the Dodgers, pitched an independent ball for the Long Island Ducks.
Got to Albuquerque last year. Brantley strikes out. Alvarez going to take the at bat as he trudges up.
Why not? He's 2 for 2.
Marlins and Indians on Saturday for a Saturday Spectacular at 7:10. All you can eat seats for just $27. Enjoy a post-game concert on the West Plaza with Sensato featuring DJ Laz. And it's presented by Heineken Light. Drink responsibly. Go to Marlins.com today. So Dan Warthen checking the bullpen to see who's up, who's ready. Alvarez fouls it back. Again, just to recap, no earth-shaking trades on trade deadline day. The Astros did, as many felt, would trade Bud Norris. Houston and the Orioles are playing right now, so Norris just walks over and joins the Orioles for prospects. The Royals acquired Justin Maxwell from the Astros. A swing and a miss. Ian Kennedy goes from San Diego, rather from the Diamondbacks to San Diego. Joe Thatcher goes from the Padres to the Diamondbacks, along with a pitching prospect.
And I certainly think that Jake Peavy in going to Boston will help the Red Sox rotation, without question.
Now Yelich. Single, double. And he reached on the Ike Davis error. Miami had a great opportunity in that 5th inning. Yelich ended up at first. Alvarez at third, and there was nobody out. but Henry Mejia pitched out of it. The teams that the Mets are chasing in the East, game behind the Phillies, 2.5 behind the Nationals. Well, now 2 behind the Nationals. They were waxed by Detroit 11-1. And the Phillies are getting skunked by the Giants 9-1. See, Tommy, when you're losing 11-1, it's a waxing. When it's 9-1, it's a skunking.
It's a skunking. Earlier, we were talking about Michael Young and his position with the Phillies. Even though Young wasn't traded, they just brought up the Phillies' Cody Ash, young third baseman, and he's playing third base tonight in Philadelphia.
Yelich called strike 3. Scott Rice enjoying his stay in the big leagues.
Never forget it. Jake Marisnick with his first career home run, estimated 409 feet. That got the Marlins on the scoreboard in the third inning. A couple of sacrifice flies, one by Placido Polanco. Henderson Alvarez comes in to score, and the next one a towering fly ball, sacrifice fly by Giancarlo. Marlins had a 3-0 lead. The only run of the game for the Mets came in the 6th inning on an Ike Davis double down the right field line. He had a good at bat, fouled off a lot of pitches. Marlon Byrd came in to score.
And so Henderson Alvarez out there for the 8th. Eric Young takes down low. Adeiny Echeverria comes into the ball game at short. Ed Lucas moves over to second base. And a strike. And I mean, looking at that move on the surface, Tommy, you've got to ask, did something happen to Donovan Solano?
I think it goes along with what Mike Redmond told us the other night. He hates to take Lucas out of the game. You know, he's making the move at short to upgrade the defense at short. And as far as Lucas going to second, it looks like Solano's fine. He told us the other day when he makes moves, he just hates to take Lucas out of the game.
Because Lucas can play all 4 infield spots, and he is Miami's emergency catcher. And Alvarez upset it himself. He walks the leadoff man, and this is the top of the Mets order. So with the Marlins bullpen ready to go, remember, Steve Cishek is off limits tonight And so it won't be Cishek coming in to close the game unless Cishek is convinced his manager otherwise as of 5:30 tonight.
Yeah, and so
Cishek.
So because of that, Red has to handle the bullpen a little differently. And in a case where maybe he would use a Chad Qualls in the 8th inning, he has to think Qualls maybe in the 9th inning.
Does that mean he'll extend Alvarez a little more than he might?
Well, he has the luxury to do that because the pitch count's still in pretty good shape for Alvarez.
93. The Marlins tonight have turned 3 double plays, 2 up the middle, and 1 started by the catcher Rob Brantley on a bunt attempt by Mejia. That was in the 5th. Young with terrific speed. Murphy on 0 for 2 night with a walk. That one line foul and out of play. Wanted to. Cleveland Indians are in on Friday. Of course, I don't think it'll be the same feel for Mike Redmond when the Marlins played the Twins.
Yeah, Red finished his career
22 games with the Indians.
The Indians have they're playing the White Sox tonight in Cleveland. They're tied in the 8th inning 3-3, and they have an afternoon game tomorrow against Chicago.
That's 3-2. And
Alvarez wanted that. He went inside, tried to get that inside corner.
Would Terry Collins start Young, who is a terrific base stealer?
I think he would. Murphy has pretty good back control up there. And also the fact that they've hit into 3 double plays.
Young is running. Murphy fouls it off. Full count. Alvarez looking for his 2nd win as a Marlin. Beat the Pirates his last time out. 7 scoreless against the Brewers. He was 9-14 last year. Pitched a lot for the Blue Jays. Young is running again. Line drive. Polanco can't catch it. Hops to his feet. Gets the out. Young going across the diamond. And Morrison, rather than risk throwing it away, eats the baseball. Obviously, Polanco, if he comes up with a line drive, but that's a difficult diving try.
Yeah, you're right. If he comes up with it, it's a double play, but a difficult play just for Polanco to pop up and get the out at first base is a tremendous play. And then great effort by Eric Young Jr. He sums this whole play up and he sees where Polanco is, and he realizes he can beat him to third base.
So with David Wright coming up, Anderson Alvarez is coming out. And it's a Metro PCS call to the bullpen.
Last night, he looked like on the fist pump he like stubbed his foot or rolled his ankle or something. Then he just did a barrel roll. It was really funny.
They had the crime scene taped off. I have no idea. I just walked outside and they had security everywhere. I didn't know what was going on.
Saw Qualsey fall and we were all dying laughing in here. It was really funny.
It was a ghost that had like a cord wrapped on his right foot. So when we plant to push off for the uppercut, someone pulled the cord and just took him right out underneath. Either that or the sniper really was up there.
That was amazing last night. That was a nice gift. That was as cool as a gift.
Yeah, I think he had a good laugh at himself too. You know, and yeah, he's a good guy, man. He's done a great job for us. So, yeah.
Nothing like fun at the old ballpark, right, Craig?
It certainly was, Rich, and Chad Qualls is known as a kind of a sarcastic guy. He said, well, this one I had to own, and he had hurt his ankle, he said, a little before that, but kept a straight face till he got to the dugout.
I thought the best part of it was after he got to the dugout. He's a pretty stoic guy. You see him on the team plane, you see him in the bullpen. He's always got a pretty stoic look, but he just broke down in laughter, and he couldn't hold back.
David Wright now with an out and the infield back. He fouls it off. As we told you at the outset, in the absence of Steve Cishek, Qualls and or Dunn. Right now it's Qualls trying to get 2 outs here in the top of the 8th. And it gets by Bradley. It goes to the screen. Young will score.
See what this pitch was. It was a high, hard fastball. It looked like it was catchable. And we'll see if it's a wild pitch or a pass ball.
One is in. It's 2-1. From that look, you'd have to say pass ball.
I would agree. And so did the scorekeeper.
And then Wright rips one into left. This game has changed dramatically in just 3 hitters. So Wright singles. Marlon Byrd comes up. And the Mets are within a run and got a runner at first base.
Talked about it last night. David Wright can still run a little bit. He can still steal a base. 16 stolen bases this year.
And Wright's one of those guys who, when he runs, he rarely gets thrown out. And this year, he's been caught just 3 times. Foul ball wide of third.
Well, tonight, and this is exactly what Qualls would love to see, tonight the double play has been a big equalizer. The Marlins have turned 3.
Mike Dunn in the bullpen. Wright is running. Swing and a miss. Brantley's throw not in time. Wright looks like he's hurt.
Boy, got a great jump. Brantley didn't have a chance. I'm sure Terry Collins wants to make sure he's all right.
Grabbing the back of his leg.
Back of that right.
And the Mets trainer is just on his way out.
Well, and also, if you're Terry Collins, you want to make sure David Wright can run because he represents the tying run of the game.
And it looks like Wright is trying to say he didn't pull it, that it's just a cramp. But you can plainly see him shake his head and say he didn't pull it. So 17th bag for Wright. Marlon Byrd. Driven. Left center. That's deep. Marisnik has room and makes the catch. Tagging is Wright. And he gets to third. You know, your first thought there when Wright took off from second is watch him and see how he ran. He actually ran pretty well 3/4 of the way
until he started to pull up.
Here's a look. Mike Redmond on his way out. You've got Ike Davis up, and Red is really mixing and matching here. Qualls exits, and Dunn, who had a rough go of it against the Mets in the opener of this series, is coming in. Miami 3, Mets 2. Metro PCS called to the pen. Terry Collins went out to third to make sure David Wright could run. First, the pitcher, it's Mike Dunn. Takes over for Chad Qualls. Dunn got knocked around on Monday night by the Mets late in the ball game. New York had a 1-run win. There's the hitter on the left.
Yeah, so it's not going to be Ike Davis. It's going to be Josh Satin. Yeah, Dunn came in the 7th inning the other night to flip Eric Young Jr. over to the right side. He doubled. And then the left-handed bat of Daniel Murphy singled home Young. And that was all for Mike Dunn in that game.
And there's David Wright, who got a visit from his manager just to make sure that he could run. So Dunn against Satin. John Buck is on deck. There are 2 outs. Satin with a good rip, and he fouls it back. Pitcher spot is a ways away in Miami's order, so if Mike Redmond wants Mike Dunn to pitch the 9th and look for a 4-out save for that man Henderson Alvarez, he can. New York's bullpen, Carlos Torres,
who has been starting.
The Mets have shifted into a 6-man rotation, trying to extend the shelf life on Matt Harvey and Zach Wheeler. Ease the workload on those young arms. Two and one to Satin. He hits a high fly ball, left field. Yelich makes the catch, and Dunn finishes the inning. The Mets get a run closer, though, to the bottom of the 8th. 3-2 now. Mike Redmond still working on that scorecard right now. 3-2 Miami lead. In the bottom of the 8th, Miami at home and on top. If you want to order food directly from your smartphone, upgrade your seats for the ball game instantly from the palm of your hand. Download the MLB.com at the ballpark mobile app for these features and more. Check in through the app to earn free tickets. Download the free MLB NYN.com, at the ballpark app today.
There is Josh Satin, who just flied out the last out of the inning, pinch hitting for Ike Davis. He stays in at first, and the new pitcher is Carlos Torres, who is scheduled to start for the Mets on Saturday.
Torres fires a strike. Oftentimes in a six-man rotation, a guy like Torres, pitchers are on a pretty standardized regimen of throwing between starts, but now with that extra day, you can have a guy actually in the bullpen in reserve for an inning or two, and that works as his natural throw day,
which was done a whole lot more often years ago.
Now Stanton. Marlins have just 6 hits, and they've left only 4. Atchison and Engine. Stanton shoots that one out to right field. Bird approaches and makes the catch.
What's amazing, Rich, the close games these two teams have played. We talked about the 4 extra inning games, the 120 inning game, a 15 inning game, another 1-run game here tonight.
Marlins Live, presented by Checkers. Craig and Jeff coming up. Mike Dunn looks like he'll be coming out for the 9th. No one in Miami's pen right now. This a Henderson Alvarez start. Toyota trend. Mets and Marlins, 10 of the 17 games decided by 2 runs or less. Something didn't seem right on that one, huh?
You know, I listened, but then I didn't listen. I kind of tuned it out when you said 17.
I got halfway through reading it, and I thought to myself, my goodness, they're going to play 23 games against each other at this pace.
Yeah, they've played 13. Marlins are 8-5.
So it's 10 of 13. Morrison's ground ball finally gets to Murphy, who throws him out. Carlos Torres works a scoreless 8th. Let's see if Mike Dunn can get a 4-out save. To the 9th we go. Steve Cishek off limits after a 2-inning effort last night. And so Mike Dunn, who got the last out of the 8th, is in there for the 9th. A 4-out save. And he's got John Buck, Juan Ligares, and Omar Quintanilla. At least those are the names out of the chute for the Mets here in the 9th. Certainly Henderson Alvarez deserves the win. 7 1/3 innings for Alvarez. He gave up 6 hits on 2 runs, 2 walks, and just a strikeout.
Mike Dunn had a save earlier this year. Middle of May, picked up a save in a 2-1 win against Arizona. So in his career, Dunn with 11 career saves at the major league level.
Alvarez watches, waits, hopes. Dunn misses in to Buck. And Buck was trying to tie it with one swing.
Yeah, he opened up his hips a little bit, tried to get to that fastball, and couldn't quite catch up to it.
Three and one.
Guy who's had a hot series is on deck, Juan Ligares.
Where does Redmond go if Dunn struggles with these first 2 hitters? Now Redmond obviously is hoping he doesn't, but well, he told us Qualls and Dunn to shut it down. He had to bring Dunn into the 8th. And Dan Jennings, AJ
Ramos, Webb, Jennings. That's who's available. Where he goes, I wouldn't be sure.
Three-two. Up the middle, into center field, base hit. Buck is aboard. Marisnik has it. And John Buck, who had a big hit late last night to drive in 2, opens the 9th. The Mets down a run.
Well, we talked about how you like to pitch Buck in on the hands, but when you get behind, you have to just keep coming with fastballs, and Dunn got that fastball out over the plate, and you saw how Buck was able to extend and hit that ball sharply.
One and 0, and Dunn is obviously not sharp. He fell behind Buck, and they gave up the single.
He gets himself in a position where he can't use the breaking ball, and then guys start to get on that fastball.
Ball and a strike. And that was a generous strike.
Of course, the other guy down there we saw make his major league debut last night, Steve Ames.
One and two. Noon start, Marlins Live, 12:30. Ball game tomorrow. And Harvey, Tom Kohler. Henderson Alvarez staring intently out at Mike Dunn. Tying runs at first and nobody out. 1-2 coming to Ligares.
Tried that hard slider, missed with it. That's a good pitch, and when Mike Dunn has those nights where he has command of that pitch as well as the fastball, he's terrific.
Still 2-2.
Another slider.
Remember, it's Ed Lucas at second base right now. He and Echeverria hoping for a ground ball. That's the thing that Henderson Alvarez did so well tonight. 3 double plays in his 7 innings of work. 7 1/3, actually. 2-2 coming from Dunn. That's a foul ball. It's off the foot of the Goddess. For Dunn, he did not record an out on Monday night, gave up 2 runs on 2 hits. And they were big ones as the Mets ended up winning the ball game 6-5.
Well, he's faced 3 Met hitters in this series, and they've all 3 gotten hits.
Mets came from behind to beat the Marlins on Monday night. Last night, in 10 innings, New York with a 4-2 win. Got him. Quite a struggle there between Dunn and Legatus. But a good live fastball finishes the AB.
Fastball right there, but right through it with the swing was Legatus.
Justin Turner will hit for Quintanilla. Buck still at first.
Again, with the 6-man rotation, hate to keep bringing it up, but it means a lot to the Met roster. They have just 4 men on the bench. So it's one of the reasons Terry Collins can't send pinch runner out for John Buck. Then he uses too many men. He has Anthony Recker as their second catcher. So he's going with a little more power here with Turner pinch hitting.
Turner a couple of years ago had a great season of pinch hitting heroics. Drives this one to right. Stanton goes back and he reaches up and makes the catch. Buck has to turn. He was already at second. Stanton runs it down right at the track, and Turner nearly put the Mets in a position to tie the game.
Well, that ball was tracked well by Giancarlo. Got a good jump, kept his concentration. Just reached up at the right time.
Jose Fernandez celebrating his birthday. Henderson Alvarez would like to celebrate his 2nd win. And here is Recker. Recker got the start in game 1 and was 1 for 4. Nice play. Looks like he's got a new glove. Ball and a strike. John Buck led off the inning against Mike Dunn with a hit. Dunn struck out Lagares, got Turner to line out to deep right. As 1 and 2 on record. Dunn ready. And the 1-2. Dunn came in to finish the 8th. Steve Cishek not available tonight. So it was Qualls who got an out in the 8th. Alvarez actually started that inning. And Dunn trying to finish the relay here. Got the last out of the 8th. Has 2 outs here in the 9th. One, 2 again.
Marlins trying to put away this last game in July, and it's been a struggle. 24 pitches for Mike Dunn. He's made some good pitches to record.
Marlins 11 and 14 in the month of July. After having a very nice June and a very nice start to July. One, 2 again. Got him. Oh, good. Fastball through a pile. And Dunn finishes. The Marlins beat the Mets finally in this 4-game series. Alvarez gets the win and an escort from Jose. And a well-earned save by Mike Dunn. He gets 4 tough outs. He protects a 1-run lead. And Miami wins it 3-2. Henderson Alvarez spectacular again tonight.